I wasn't sure what to call this one. I wasn't sure whether to call it The Innocents. I was thinking of the Massacre of the Innocents. Or I was going to call it For a Child. It's a father trying to explain to his child, son or daughter, why we have the kind of system we do have. So a parent is trying to explain it. See, it's for the government to govern, and the market, well, the market's free. The banks know well what they're doing, and fire guards are not made of paper. They're safe, trustworthy. See, of course, there are budgets and budgets, one for the dear managers of the business, one for those who hope and vote and pay. Leinster House is not a playhouse. The Taoiseach's a well-meaning man. We're lucky. We have democracy. The citizens rule. Okay. We hand them our power. Why? It's easier this way. We trust them, don't you see? And the banks mind the money. And okay, it's not their money, but they know what they're at. Do you agree? Now we must all pull together. The bankers, the governors, we.
And just before I hand you over to Owen, I'd just like to say there's a petition to be signed at the back of the room, and also there's a contact list going around the room, and anyone who'd like to get more involved in the campaign can add their name and their contact details to that. And that's me, and that's... And now I'd just like to hand you over to Owen Curran, who's our No Pay campaign representative for Cloch Cheann Fhaola. Thanks, Owen.
The Cloch Cheann We Want to Pay campaign was formed around 4 weeks ago. It has its origins in meetings some of us have been attending in the Kildare since last summer. Some of us have also attended the No Household and Water Tax Forum in Dublin last September, which had a very impressive turnout of 200 people from 16 counties at least. The purpose of the Cloch Cheann group is to campaign locally and organising for non-payment of these unjust household water and septic tank taxes. The household tax, a bit about the taxes. The household tax will be introduced in January as an annual charge of €100 per household. It has been described as Minister Phil Hogan as a temporary measure, and has said that he could not even guarantee that the charge would not increase for the duration of the so-called temporary period. The ESRI, the government semi-official economic think tank, said that the combined taxes could be as high as $1,300 per annum on an average household. The government planned to replace the household tax with a full property tax and a separate water charge by 2014. The septic tank tax will consist of a €50 registration fee. We will be expected to re-register every 5 years. The government say that inspection is free. They don't make it clear that re-inspection will cost €200, not to mention possible operating expenses. My question on that myself is, what is the purpose of a registration fee when every local authority in the country knows that if you're not on the main sewer, you have to go into a septic tank or some other system. But
Did which the one you have the needs of golden should man and while a boy has her load and costume shaw as cut over to a couple of buckler and Shaw Nottingham for a new shaw. Can I just begin by saying that there were a number of things that have occurred and have in the recent past that have made me get up and to get involved in this and to help out and to support this campaign in whatever way I can. And among them, I just going to briefly mention 4 of them before I continue on with my input. Number 1 is unemployment leading to immigration. Now, we all see the reality of unemployment. We've witnessed that, the increase of people leaving the shores of this country, unfortunately. And you know, there's a striking increase in the number of people who are leaving. And we all have heard stories, we all possibly know people who have left the shores of this country. But among other things that really have brought it home to me was just recently there, in the past, the amount of young people who've come to ask me to sign their their application for a passport and to witness their signature. And you know, talking to them, asking, where are you going? We're off to America, we're off to Australia, or wherever the case may be. That's point number one. The second point here is just simply talking to people and hearing their own genuine concerns and their own genuine fears about these added taxes and charges, and hearing from them and hearing from many people, we simply don't have it to pay it. And that's not a word of a lie. I've heard that. You know, and I've experienced that from a wide spectrum of people, from young families to the elderly. And you know, this experience makes me believe that these added burdens are just not right. And the third point is being in contact with the St Vincent de Paul Society. You know, the core principles of that society are charity and justice. And ironically, this weekend, I know in my own parish in Gidor that they're having their annual church gate collection. But talking to the members, people who work there, they're saying that they've experienced a rise in calls for help. And they can be certain that there'll be a sharp rise from calls for help from families, you know, as a result of the impact of this, when they deal with the impact of this, the budget that has just passed. And the fourth point here that I want to mention before I continue on is, I don't know if any of you here know or are aware of MP MacDonald. Now, I don't know him personally, but his words and his sad tale of Irish poverty and starvation had a profound influence upon me and really hit me the core of my being. You know, it was a letter, and that's not a word of a lie, and I mean that. There was a letter that he'd written to one of the national papers a number of months back, and when I read the paper, I sat and I thought about it, and I thought about it many times since, and I even have a copy of that letter just sitting on my desk back at home as a reminder, as a daily reminder of the importance of compassion and of the importance of understanding for the human condition. You know, people are struggling, we all know that. People are struggling, and that whatever I can do, I must do, and I'm willing to do, and to help and to support in whatever way. And I'm sure that we all here share those same aspirations and that same reality. But the letter that I mentioned, and it's only 2 short paragraphs, and I'll read it for you if you don't mind. It was entitled, A New Torment, Hunger. And he started, Sir, as I write this letter, I'm hoping that sleep can provide me with some escape from the anxiety and pain that the economic situation is wreaking on me and my family. Until recently, I've been able to meet my mortgage repayments and provide for my young children. At this juncture, seeing as the part-time work at which I depended has entirely ceased, I have found myself and my loved ones having to cope with a new torment, hunger. Today, I have nothing to give my children, only bread and cereal. My dole payment is completely servicing my mortgage, and my savings have run dry on essentials. I dread what every day will bring. The wolf that I have been keeping from the door has finally moved in, and he signs it MP MacDonald. Now that letter has led to a lot of talk in media and everything, and led to headlines in papers, national and local papers, and it said headlines like "Families in Modern Ireland skip food to pay mortgages," and "Irish families starve their children in order to make mortgage payments." You know, when I read this, and when I read that at the time, I thought to myself that that experience and that circumstance is nothing short of dehumanizing, and that's not right. That's only one man, and that's only one family story, and I'm sure that there are many other like that, and some of you here may be able to vouch or to tell your own stories as well, or to circumstances that you're aware of. So these are only 4 points, and as I said at the beginning, I only mention them in passing as a way to sort of introduce why I support this campaign and why I stand here today. And you know, I believe that the vast majority I believe that the vast majority of us here this evening or tonight, that we're here because we share a common interest in the topic that has been discussed, the length and breadth of this county and indeed this country by many, many people. Taxes and charges and the effect that they're going to have not only on us personally, but on our families and also on our communities and on our society. We hear so much about household charges. We hear so much about water taxes and septic tank charges, and just on that last one, septic tank charges. Now, I spoke to someone recently there, and we're talking about this, and in the conversation he had mentioned septic tanks. It was a slip of the tongue, but you know, when I think of it, I think there's a bit of, you know what, sceptic tank, he said, a slip of the tongue, but I think he hit the nail on the head with that one, because really people are sceptical, I think, about these charges. Where is it all going, and where is it all going to end? We're told and we're led to believe that these taxes are being brought in to ensure the continuation of local services. And to that I say, I'm very sceptical. You know, I believe that these new taxes which are being introduced that they have absolutely nothing to do with improving, be it council services, water or sewer services or street maintenance or whatever other kind of facilities. But they have absolutely nothing to do with these, but rather that they have everything to do with collecting revenue for paying off the bailout. Our monies are being collected. Then it's being shipped off, just like the young people that I mentioned earlier on at the beginning here. Not only are we sending our young people from this country, but also I believe that we're sending our money. Why? To pay for the reckless gambling of self-centred speculators and of gamblers. You know, the big hand of the state has been put into your pocket, into my pocket, and into your pockets. Not once, not twice, but far too many times, I believe, to see, I think, that people are rising up and standing together. And that's, as I said, why I'm supporting this here this evening, and supporting the other campaigns that I've been involved in against these unfair and these unjust taxes. Can it be won? I believe so. And just one little example, you'll read about it in some of the literature on the table there, and maybe someone else might speak about it, but so one example is the anti-water charges in Dublin in the 1990s. That was one. People stood together and it was one. So I feel the government, that they're testing the water. They're testing the ground for heftier property and water taxes down the road. And if they get away, if they get this one out the gate, or if they get this one bedded down, so to speak, they'll be more confident to follow suit with other charges as well. But if people mobilise, if people and the communities organise, and if they build up non-payment of households and other charges from the very beginning, well, it makes it, I suppose, more difficult for them.
And now I'd just like to introduce Denise. She is a local lady from Carrach who lives in Dublin at the moment and has had a lot of experience with the different campaigns, and she was involved in the anti-water campaign in Dublin. Denise.
While we has a word on cost that go and finish our north agus while we has been in Carrach for my pasta. Tá John North when you Carrach has shot fee agus hogan terra erged shot in Nina Dhún when Carrach chat at the Hartista agus and Carrach SEPTIC tank at the Chartista and wait. Now get with the boy Blumser Nas San Oli Mayor and the Howard shop. People na Coney for a couple of years in Africa, Zambia for a couple of years, because Hannick my first hand, JV Carrach and their Hannick and IMF is job. Hugship listed on realtors in Zambia, because they're Kai the Dini in Zambia, Dini bought the Biontu, Kai should Kaini year from your Ishke, Kai should Kaini year from your Tia, Kai should Ahano the year when your share machine years, it has social speculators, obviously in the banks. Agus vi mar dúirt mar vi couple Denise is a reason in Aidan Adventures campaign agus haro Shawnee Dispatches a reason a ie before agus zeba van kilte for in the 5 and the Tunish. Anyway, she is ready to supervise.
But nGall a continuation of where Fianna Fáil had left off. Remember this the next time that you go out to vote.
Obviously people who supported myself in the last elections and the previous elections to come to the meeting tonight. But I want to say from the very outset, so because I think it's always right to be very honest and genuine, I'm not advocating people not pay these charges. So I just want to say that straight out. And the reason, I'll explain the reason, but I do believe that these charges are absolutely unjust, they're unfair, and that people can't and people won't pay them, and anybody who doesn't pay them, I and my party will back them up 100%. I will be voting against them in the nGall. I'm arguing against the SEPTIC tank bill. I've been talking to Phil Hogan privately about it, trying to get stuff changed in it. We'll be doing the same with the household charge, and when we get the site valuation charge in.
The anti-bin tax campaign, more or less leaving them high and right that they're still paying. I would like to know who those people are, because I was active in that campaign and nobody was left high and dry. Of course, it's still the case that people are being attacked and people are being having money demanded of them. But if that campaign had not taken place, if the water charge campaign had not taken place, then there would be a charge now of at least 1,000. The Finn Féin Minister Mary Hanifin said that if the water charges had not been abolished by Labour and Fine Gael in 1996, that there would be a charge of at least 800 last year going into the election. So the situation about the bin tax campaigns, everything that we said in relation to the bin tax campaign has been